Thema vun Haut als fir lo an diesem mir mei später Nachgespräch als Ökologie. Also Thema Ökologie ist vorgeschlagen. Kann ich aber alle anderen Sachen noch mal dranbringen. Ökologie als ein Thema wie das frei des Schüler schon hun, aber alle Menschen kann da vielleicht mitschwätzen und Ideen hun wie in das kann man. Donc on veut parler d'écologie, mais si vous avez d'autres thèmes reliés à la vie ensemble en Europe, l'écologie c'est un thème, mais vous êtes libre à apporter tous les sujets que vous voulez. So I would propose, I give the microphone around, maybe you can say where you come from. We have an idea from the north, from the south, east or west. And say a few words. What do you think about Europe? What do you think could change without listening necessarily to the politicians? They should listen more to us, if that's okay.
Hi all, my name is Slava and I'm from Russia.
You have to talk loud. This is not for making it louder, it's just for the recording.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Hello all, and I'm Slava and I'm from Russia, from St. Petersburg. I don't know much about Europe, democracy and such stuff. Frankly speaking, I'm just working from time to time in Germany and don't live here. In Russia we have some problems with democracy, yeah, but that's I can say. And what? So I would like to continue conversation if we have some topics what we should discuss, but that is. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Ekaterina. I'm also from Russia, St. Petersburg. Yeah, but I lived for some time in Europe, in Germany also, and even in France a bit. What can I say about ecology? So first of all, what from I see that sometimes for big corporations it's easier to pay some money to instead of improve the technologies. So they can pay money for like strafs. I forgot in English the word. And it's not a good situation, I think. So maybe it's better to have for this bigger corporation even obligations that they should improve their technologies. So now it's not obligatory, and they rather choose if they want to improve it or not. What else can I say? Yeah, especially in our country, we think that resources have no limits. Resources do not have their limits, so we have really a lot of big territory, a lot of water, a lot of everything. It's not like this in Europe, but it is unfortunately like this in Russia. But we never know when it stops and we have no resources. So maybe it also would be great if now we think about our future, about our children, grandchildren, so it won't be like this forever. And maybe it's already now time to improve situation, to save water, to use less water and energy and so on, instead of just put it in waste. So yeah, at least it's about Russia. I know that in Germany the situation is a bit better, but hopefully, as we live in one world, we shouldn't decide only for one country, but all together, because resources are for everyone, not only for one country. So maybe that's all for now.
Yeah, let's go forward, but I will come back. I want to come back to a question, because you said Russia and Europe. I think Russia is also part of Europe, and maybe we can talk also a little bit about this on the occasion we have two Russians here. I would like to discuss this, but first make the round finish.
So I'm Sandra, I'm Portuguese from Lisbon, and I live here in Luxembourg for 10 years now. As you said prior, I think we have to really become aware that the fact that natural resources are scarce and limited, and I think we stand a little bit in our personal comfort that we have everything, and we don't have a realistic perspective that I think that we as grown people must have and must teach this to our kids and make a better use of resources from now, and think more in a community perspective, not just what is good for me, but what is best for everybody, and especially in what concerns like public transports. It's much more comforting to drive to the city in my own car, and warm. But is it good for the community if I do this for 20, 30 years, commuting from work to home? What are the consequences? And see what is the priority. Is it me, my comfort, or the well-being of everyone, of the society? So this is what I have to say for now. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas. I come from Poznań, it's autonomy region in Poland, and I agree with this lady about resources, which they get limited. It's true. The public transport they should be mostly ecological by metro, hopefully. Also using the ecological petrol, and which also can be profitable. Also, it's a question of recycling. I mean, there's a lot of litters for example, in Poland, which should be recycling, and there should be innovated projects to bring our life better. And and I think recycling in the West is very important, because many people, they don't know this subject, and this is also made from litters. Yeah. So thanks very much.
Hi, my name is Anne. I'm the organizer of the European Public Sphere BeNeLux-Tour, or one of the organizers, let's put it like that, because I had a lot of help from Alfred, for example. And I'm really curious what else we can come up with. I think climate is a really important topic. Climate and democracy, the two are really intertwined. So, let's go on.
Hi, my name is Helen. I'm here with Anne as well from Democracy International. And I think it's really important what you already said, but then maybe developing it further a little bit, because it's kind of the individual community perspective that we've been looking at so far, where we kind of all agree. And I feel like also when I talk to people on the streets, to my friends, and in community circles, that usually everybody's like, okay, we need to need to make better ecological choices, we need to hold companies responsible and things like that. But then it's a question in how far we can combine it with politics, and that's also what we tried, or maybe want to talk about later, with how it combines with democracy. And I think it should be that everyone has kind of a voice in the ecological perspective as well, but then there's mostly the companies that decide on how ecological they work or not. So that's kind of the point where we go, we divide the forces in how we can fight climate change. And I think, and that's maybe a provocative thought in a sense, that we need an ecological dictatorship of some sort, in the way that we need a democratic mandate to say, okay, we enable you to make decisions, how we do it already with elections and such, but then we need a communal, collective enforcement of that, because it's kind of too late to do it little by little, as we know by reports that have come out in the last few months and years. So I'm curious as to what you maybe think about that.
My name is Gerhard Schuster. I'm from Vienna, and I'm also a founder of this initiative, of this European Public Sphere initiative. And I work on direct democracy, on question for how to bring the economy in a new shape, an economy beyond the profit motive. And I think the larger steps in the ecology question will come from democracy. And for example, in Bavaria, in Germany, south of Germany, there was a referendum, not a referendum, it was a citizen, no, the second step is in English. Initiative, and then comes the second step, 3-step. Das steht Volksbegehren, nicht Volksinitiative, Volksbegehren. No, it's not the same. Volksinitiative, Volksbegehren, Volksentscheid. It was a direct democracy vote, a very, very big vote for diversity and for saving the bees, and it was a really big step. And I think we need to improve democracy, direct democracy for the ecological questions, and we also need to think about new forms of economy, also to save the environment. So I think it's, and this is what maybe has to come forward, not only to see the technical issues on climate change, and we have to do this, and so we have to reduce the carbon and these technical issues and how to solve it in a technical way. But I think it's a conscious problem, and democracy can change the consciousness because of a big dome talk. Like we have this small dome talk here. We have a big talk on these questions in democracy process, and then the things can change. So this is what I think is needed. The ecological question is not a single issue question. It's the whole society question. And this is also what is very good, because now the animals, the bees, the plants help us as humans to get forward in our society and social questions. Willst du nichts sagen?
So the topic I want to bring, which I think it's easy to say we should change our ecology and so on, but there was a scientific research, I think it was in Germany, and I read a few weeks ago that about ecology, there are some people, still a minority, who separates their waste, buys an electric car, and all that are conscious about all this and do already a lot of steps. But then at the same time, if you look at the ecological footprint, that those who have the biggest and are part of the huge part of the problem are the same people. Because if you don't have any money or less money, you can't flight every weekend to another city to play tourist, because you can't afford it. You don't have the money to drive the car around all the time. You might walk or take the bike. So how to solve this? That the most conscious people that do already a lot of things and think they are, but at the same time they are the worst. And it is not enough then that we have some regulations by politicians. That's something we should discuss. How can we solve this? Who has an idea? Bij ecologie, natuur die net zo goed
Ich kann mich vorstellen, wie es sind, das kann es so.
Genau.
Diktatur.
Dat is
Den Spruch hast du, Deutsch, Lützeburg.
okay.
Moin, es sind David von Lützeburg und Schölfingen Papa an der Runde am Schwätzen. Und ich von sich, komm. Stell dich hier.
Ich bin Großtata vom Alfred. Und es wäre ganz interessant, was ich hier gehört habe. Und dass flott dass so viele Leute aber immer rumkommen, für nach etwas beizulehren, wie wir am besten an Europa führen.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to the group. What we did up to now is not much. Only everyone took the microphone, said from where he is and where he comes from, and okay, we have the topic of ecology. If you have something to say about this or any other topic, how do we want to live together as citizens in this Europe? We need the microphone to record it.
Okay, right.
But you have to speak loud enough that...
Okay, so hi, I'm Lefteris, I'm from Greece. I've been in Luxembourg for the last 3 years. My Luxembourgish are really, really bad, so I cannot speak. Yeah, I mean, for ecology and for at the European level, I don't know in what's our scope. I think that we need to do something fast, and there are a lot of things that are going on, activism-wise, and I think we really need to be courageous in regulation level and set the path for other countries to follow, because if we don't do, we have until 2030 and then it's not going to be so nice. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And now we can talk to each other. And yeah, for me, it would be interesting what Europe can do on these ecological questions. Also working together, for example, in the Landwirtschaft. Agriculture question, for example, because you know we always talk about the climate change, but things like diversity is also very, very important for the if the bees die, then we have the same problems like when the climate the temperature grows. So what is the European question? And maybe you can also tell us something about Russia. What is there some conscious on this question in the citizens and the politics? We have the second microphone.
Okay, so what can I say? I think we have less consciousness in Russia than in European Union, at least, about this topic. And maybe the main reason it's not economically profitable. Yes, to think on this topic. So as for now, all these initiatives, they're kind of expensive, even this sorting of garbage, and you need to build a factory which will reproduce all garbage and so on. So for business it's not profitable, and they don't do this, and I hope that our country and politicians will support somehow. So maybe at least for now initiative should came from that side, so there will be some grants or maybe smaller taxes for those companies who are doing ecological business. That's first thing. And second thing, what we have in Russia not so good, as I told, fines are really small. So if you do something, for example, forests, if you cut it out and so on, a fine will be less than profit from this, and that's another issue. So you should increase fines for big corporations, because for now it's more profitable to do not so ecological things. And what about people? They're also not thinking so much. As I told, we have an image that resources are unlimited. Maybe there should be some lessons in school, for example, so that from small year people know what's going on in the whole world. So I am told that it's not only about Russia, it's the whole world, not even Europe. And then maybe people will be more conscious and will try to save our planet, not to do some things that will lead us to bad consequences in ecology. So yes, that's my point of view.
My feeling is very similar. I don't care about climate change because I don't feel it. Actually, in Russia it's very cold, and maybe it happens, but I don't know exactly what is science point of view for this problem. But in Russia, I really care about garbage utilization, because now we have only one way to utilize garbage. It's build some place where we can leave it, and that's it. And of course, it leads to some problems in future when we have more and more garbage affected rivers and earth, and it will have very huge effect to our country. So that's it.
You know, Alfred was speaking about the impact that some people have. When I was thinking about it, maybe it might be a little bold, but we have to do every year a declaration of how much we earn, and the taxes declaration. Maybe we could have for each person like to declare the amount of travel we make, and how, I know this is a little complicated to explain, but for example, do we eat meat from Luxembourg, or our meat comes from, I don't know, Venezuela? And build such like, you know, like our footprint, our ecological footprint, and at which extent we are contributing to the pollution or to the scarcity of resources. And then if each of us has a limit, and if you overpass this limit, you have to pay more or something like that, because that would, like, really a lot. Every year, you know, how much did you contribute to the environment, and if you're not contributing, you have a penalty, and it could be I don't know, a policy or something like that, because it could be more effective. And for instance, the people that go to work with the bicycle, or that eat meat from Luxembourg and are really most invested in protecting the climate would be beneficial also, and the climate would be. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's true. There should be European policy regarding ecology, and there should be the European theory how to find the funds and how to set up all details. And I don't think so there should be changed like the Minister for Ecology was each government, and they climate exchange.
I cannot hear anything.
Oh yeah.
Wait a little bit and speak a little bit louder.
The ministerships of ecology, they in the European Union, they can professional and technocratic way created the funds and policy how to yeah. Anyway, thanks very much.
Wait a little bit. Wait. the advertisement break. Dreh mal die Glocke ab. Wie spät? 12 Uhr? 1 Uhr. Okay, probably it's finished now.
Understanding. Yeah, and the reason why it's not working, that there should be control over the funds, which I mean the tax office, tax collectors, which they're going to governments, and it could be problem. And how is divided the funds? There should be social control over that, because the earth is not ready to so many people living on it and using so many resources. So and there's a question if it's too many humans or animals, how they behave it also. And so the reason that there need to be the ministerships, they should have a funds on that way, and they should be properly divided. Yeah.
Can I say something also? I have an idea.
Louder.
Yeah, I'll try to say louder. We talked now about also fines, and from my personal point of view, it's fine to pay extra taxes or fines, but maybe even better if you have some incentives. So it's not like from fine perspective, but we have incentives that people save resources. So our government give us, I don't know, discounts or something extras. Because if it will be, at least for normal people, not for organizations, if it will be fines, and we are in democracy, everyone will be opposed. So we live now like this. Why we need to? We already get used living without these limits on resources, and why now we need to impose these limits? Many people will be not agree with, for example, with new laws and so on. But if it will be incentivized, otherwise there will be some premiums, I don't know, some extras, bonuses or whatever. So maybe it will work better, I think, and maybe people will be then more conscious.
I'm not. I want to ask this. I want to ask if there is only a way between incentives and fees, and if this is the only motivation for human beings to do something because of incentives and not to do it because of fees. So is there say first? Yeah.
Yes, I will say, you are right, but at least for our generation, which because we are already used to live like this, for our generation it might be difficult to get change mind, at least for many people who are not in this ecology. But then for next generation it will be already normal, like it's first thing. And the second thing, to affect next generation, there should be education, as I already told, at least in Russia, some lessons in school, and to put more importance on the topic. So,
and I think also, for example, goodbye. For example, if we see all the innovation potential of humans, and also the potential of solving problems in all our economy, the whole world economy is a very, very productive and very, they can efficient. They are very efficient, and so if there is the motivation to do it well, to do it in a not, I think the freedom of human being is very, very important, that people can do it by their own will, by their self-determined way to do it. So not only like,
Pavlov.
yeah, not Pavlov, yes, not Pavlov, but
Yes.
Pavlov's talk, but do it out of their free will, and and this is why, for example, the profit motive. You spoke about it first. The profit motive korrumpiert uns, is corrupting us. Yeah, and if we can. For example, I'm also a part of an initiative. It's called the European Credit Initiative, and we have the idea to finance economy, finance enterprises, if they want to work beyond the profit motive, if they want to work for the common good, to have a financiation out of credits of the Euro Central Bank system, so they can do their work, so they can be with their impulses, with their initiatives, work, but not the profit motive, but they have the financiation. And this is important, to think about an economy beyond the profit motive, so get motivated in an intrinsic way, and not because of this Pavlov's...
Yeah. I can maybe I talk too much, but I just say one thing about this. Yeah, you are right. And from also my observations, what I noticed, in countries with high level of life, people are more conscious and more willing to think about these topics. But in some other countries, there are maybe a bit more important, from their point of view, more important problems. So they're not so focused. They focused on some other problems, maybe even profitability, or just to be on the normal level of life. That's the first thing. So maybe in these countries you need more incentives. And second thing, even for example in Russia, sometimes people are willing to sort garbage, but we don't have this sorting system in Europe. So we need to call to special companies so that they can take from us batteries, for example, because we don't have these garbage collectors for batteries, and we need to pay for this. I mean, it's extra also economical costs, and even if people are conscious, it's maybe not convenient for them. So at least to make it more convenient for people. So we have this garbage collectors everywhere. Yeah, to make infrastructure more easier for these things. I don't know. Yeah, so maybe at least then to make for people who are now already thinking about this more convenient infrastructure. Yeah.
Okay, so I think there are some very, very great ideas on the table. I kind of agree. I think you spoke, the person here spoke about form of a carbon tax, and this idea is really, really popular, I think, nowadays. But the carbon tax that we spoke about, and also the changing the consciousness of society, so the society will take a decision by their own free will and not for finance incentives. I think it's the right way to go. But right now that we have a kind of a deadline, it will take too much time to change this. Even though I agree with the idea, I think that we need some kind of actions that will provide results right now. Carbon tax will provide results in 4 to 5 years or maybe more, because you cannot tax people, because you have to see what each person is doing, and this is kind of a surveillance, but you can do it in companies. And for big companies to have a tax system that gives fruits, it takes some time. It's not. It doesn't happen like this. And also for changing consciousness, I completely agree with you. I think it's a great idea, really. But these things take some time. And from where I'm standing, maybe I'm wrong on this, could be. I don't think we have that time. And I don't believe in a realistic way that our societies, especially the societies that what you discussed in Russia, have other immediate problems that they're facing. I mean, or in third world countries that they have problems right now. I mean, when you don't have, when you have hunger, you will not think about the environment. You will think about their immediate problem and to get something to eat. You know. So what I'm discussing about and what I'm thinking is that we need to be courageous here. We need to put our money where our mouth is, and we have this possibility. Third world countries don't. So we need to be courageous and take this action right now. And I firmly believe that if we take this action right now and create an initiative, a current to something more green, then when the time passes and people, countries and people start to see the problems of climate change, they will probably, I hope, see and follow our path. So yeah, maybe too much negative.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and that's also kind of what I was trying to say with the dictatorship in the beginning, I guess. For example, with the waste sortation or with the carbon tax, those are things that we could kind of enforce now that are apart from a kind of slightly risen cost issue, not that political. But then in the long run, we obviously need to develop something together, and then we get back to what you said about the consciousness, about people being involved in also regions that have different issues. Might it be the agricultural district, might it be about the bees, the forests, so then that the people engage in a discussion. And if we work on all fronts at the same time, so have a political sphere that is open to these suggestions, but then also have a communal sphere where we actually talk about it and where we actually engage and try to translate our wishes or beliefs into political suggestions. And then I think in the long run we could actually get away from profits. But if we now kind of have a small bubble where we say, okay, let's not think about that, let's be intrinsic in our actions, then we get to a political sphere that's saying, no, but we believe in profits and you don't have any space here. And I guess that's also what I feel like right now with the climate emergencies that are being called out, that you have cities that are determined to change something, even if their political actors might be a little more to the conservative side. They kind of create a sphere in which the political doesn't directly collide with ecological issues, even though it is political in a sense as well.
I want to say something more about this idea of a dictatorship, because I think we have to make the differentiation between governments and administration and legislation on the other side. And I think the term or the concept of dictatorship is an not legitimized system. And I think the real subject is the sovereign, the people's sovereign, the democratic sovereign. And this example in Bavaria, the people say against their individual interests, the bigger interest was because of the direct democracy process, they come to a consciousness for whole, not for myself. And this is maybe the green dictator is the sovereign, the people's sovereign, not the dictator. So it's maybe the wrong concept to say it this way, because and then the government has to do the work and has to, and they are now they are afraid because of elections. They are not brave enough, nicht tapfer, mutig, courageous. They are not courageous enough, the governments, because they always look to the elections and are afraid if we do too much restrictions, then they won't get elected anymore. So, but if the decisions come bottom up, this is not a problem anymore. So I think we have to really, really, really improve our direct democracy for this question.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. It's just that if we then again count in what he said about the time frame, I think that that's an issue, because this was one issue with the bees. It was a surprising outcome as well. People didn't really think that it would turn into this, which is a positive. But then there's so many other initiatives. There's so much also negative opinions from the political side on the Fridays for Future protests, which are really, in a sense for me at least, also a way of direct democracy, engaging in the public sphere, and they're not responding, or at least not yet. So then again we get back to the time issue, where I would say that yes, we need to work on that and we need to create a sphere where that is possible, but then again we have current and urgent problems that we will not solve. So then the question is, in how far can we bring together the political sphere that is not yet as evolved in direct democracy with political decisions that still need to be made.
I'm rather not too optimistic about the citizens and the politicians coming together. I think there's a huge gap, because like the dome talks, you talk among citizens on the street. I'm sure 80% of people want the same thing that statistics say. They want to be happy, they want to be healthy, they want to meet their friend and their family, so that they all have in common. And if you would sit together, conservatives, liberals, left-wing, whatever, I'm sure they would agree and find a solution. But as soon as it gets on the level of money and power, and that's the political level, you don't want really to find a solution, because you would have to turn down power games, you would have to turn down some people making more money than they deserve, and that's why this gap is very difficult. I think there is not the will to change it, because I'm sure people would find. We see people don't find each other, say you're and I'm against you. That's impossible. You might find there are also few strange people, but in general the great majority would find solution, I'm sure of. But then, and even if you talk about jobs, that's indirectly talking about money again. So I'm not very optimistic.
I think this power question, there are two Archimedes points for the, I don't know in English, the Heber. The lever, yeah? There are 2 points. This is the legislation and this is money. So we have to have ideas on these 2 points. We have the idea for the legislation point. We need the people's legislation as a complementary to the representative democracy. And we have also ideas on this second leverage point. So, and this is the money question. And we have the possibility to have credits out of the people always say money comes out of nothing, but it's not nothing, it comes out of the future, because we produce together, we work together, and that's why we can create money, and out of credits and paying back the credits, the money will also disappear. So we have a money circle, and we don't need anymore this investors, and we can do it because of our deliberation of what we want to work together, do together, and get the money out of the future, out of credits. And then this power point of money and the power point of legislation, and you know this Sprichwort, if you are in a hurry, drive slowly. Yeah. So, and slowly also means do the right things, do the leverage point things. So then we have some You know, we have a potential development in the future.
Okay. Yeah, what I've heard, I actually agree with you at least in one point. What I think, maybe if we have a better democracy structure, we could improve the situation with ecology, because as you said, many people want the same, and of course if you talk to everyone, we want better ecology in our country and so on. And since democracy should reflect people's opinion, so actually the politics should also reflect on these topics. And another point, actually, ecology is profitable, but it's profitable on long term. So if in future we won't have water or forest, I think it will be hard to produce anything. Yeah, and maybe it's also a lever, as you said, maybe to emphasize on that, that people think a bit more about future and future profitability, that politicians reflect more on people's opinion, and in that way maybe we could have better world and better solutions that are not only derived from short-term goals and profitability. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bring the ideas to Russia, bring them back from Russia to Europe.
The discussion we're having is really interesting, and I think that Alfred talked about bringing change in a political level and society, of course, because politics and society are interchanged, in my opinion. I believe that meaningful political change and social change never came without pressure, and never came without people putting their goals above themselves. So if we wait from politicians and the political system to respond to the various threats of global threats or environmental threats and stuff like that, then we blindly trust them, then I believe that it won't end really good. It won't end good, as I see it, at least looking at the historical at the history. So I believe that there needs, in terms of power, because Alfred talked about power, we need to put the pressure every day, also in our personal lives, in what we do every day. So we can discuss here about we want more democracy, we want a green environment, then I take my SUV and I go around the Luxembourg and throwing stuff out of the window. So we have to be the change that we want to see, but also we need to organize at a local level and try to push the society that we live in, our communities or our governments. Luxembourg is small, so you can press the government much easier, I would say, comparing to Greece at least. So we need to be there and not only talk the talk, but also walk what we're discussing about. So yeah, that's my point of view about power in Western, at least, societies, at least that I'm familiar with.
I think we should close it here. We can go on talking without microphones if we want to, in our small group. And thanks for joining. Thanks for talking. And see you maybe later at 3. The final word will be for Gerhard.
Yeah, I just thought it was one from Poland, 2 from Russia, so we have 2 countries. You have your Portuguese background. then Luxembourg and Greece, Germany, Austria. So it's very European round here in our dome. Thank you very much.